The story began one day in the chalet on the Alp. The cowherd and his young helper, his buebo, a boy nearing 13, were there, father and son together. The weather was dreadful, so to pass the time on this cheerless day, they each decided to carve a wooden cream spoon. Using an axe on the upturned trunk for chopping wood, the youngster cut out the block of wood that would become his very first sculpted spoon. With the help of a rather unsuitable knife, he worked the wood with a passion that awoke in him the calling that would stay with him for the rest of his life. 40 years on, and the one-time buebo has continued to carve, using the lovely white wood of the Norway maple, felled near the Pasquier monastery. This simple block of wood gives birth to the perfect utensil, bearing the heraldic crest of the crane of Gruyère. The other day, I went to visit him at his workshop in the village of Vuadens, not far from the town of Bulle. His workshop is small but well equipped, with a workbench and the tools of his trade which haven't changed form for centuries. Stencils, blocks of wood awaiting the bite of the saw, and half-finished spoons adorn the walls. Pasquier is a man loyal to his trade. He has spent his life making spoons. How many has he made? He can't say. Perhaps 10 or 12,000, or maybe more. Thanks to this modest Gruyérian craft, he has raised 2 daughters and a son. He continues to sculpt, even though times are hard in these days of mass production and machine-made goods. He has no regrets, and even talks with humour about his first attempts at carving. Having little taste for studies, he remembers that carving beautiful things out of wood with a knife was far more interesting, and that on his last day at school, when every student had to bring a handmade object to show the teacher, it was quite natural for him to bring a carved wooden spoon. And so it was that the school inspector became his first customer. He was so taken with it that he actually bought it. It was on an April day of very bad weather that I made my visit. I found him holding the rough-hewn draft cut from a block of maple, 10 centimetres thick. The wood was still damp, and you could see the mark of each knife cut where the spoon had been worked. The block had been simmering in boiling water on the stove for half an hour to harmonise the wood fibres. Without this treatment, the spoon would warp the first time it was used. Holding the gouge firmly, he started to carve into the wood. The rough draft began to take shape, gaining style. It has taken years of searching and practice to perfect the studied elegance and purity of line that he is looking for. Pasquier can remember Etienne Génaud, the livestock inspector, who at the time made such beautiful spoons and who was, in a small way, his craft master. Ancient models that he had carefully observed in chalets or in village houses during long winter evenings have helped him to refine his work. It took a long time for him to find the right balance of the volumes, the gracefulness of lines, and the refinement of the motif. In the handle, above the motif, he has decorated his creation with a gentian flower. This has been copied by others elsewhere. I watch him as the moment arrives to sculpt the spoon handle. With an adroitness that seems almost miraculous, he starts to sculpt, little by little, the shape of the bird. The crane emerges coming alive. It looked so easy, even a child could do it. He now cuts out the pattern around the rim surrounding the crane. It resembles the fine feather stitch that local embroiderers used to embellish the bredson, the traditional working dress of the Gruyerian cowherd. In 7 minutes flat, the fine decoration is completed. Only 40 minutes are needed in all to finish the actual task of sculpting. But what takes so fiendishly long is the first shaping, which lasts at least an hour and a half. And then the polishing, with the craftsman's eye for minute detail. About 2 hours are spent shaping, rubbing down, and correcting with sandpaper before the perfect result has been attained. Thus, in one day, the sculptor finishes one spoon and completes a half of another. Do you think that at this pace one can become rich? Despite this, Émile Pasquier is quite content with his narrow-bladed handsaw, his simple, honest work tools, and his calloused hands. The spoons that he has made have received the stamp of approval of manual labour. They have come to life, thanks to the long love for a craft as old as the earldom of Gruyère. A little of this country lies in this sculpted wooden utensil. Just look at the lovely curves, which form a shape like no other. The crane which fits so well into the finely sculpted handle, and the elegantly formed bowl with which you scoop up the cream. This spoon from Gruyère was truly made for a royal feast. It is no wonder that in the colourful language of our land, cream is called la lia, in other words, the flower of perfection. So let all the people of Gruyère be thankful to our sculptor Émile Pasquier, who makes us aware of our land's treasures and enables us to feel the pleasures of sight and heart before those of the palate.